Welcome back to Psych'd. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Cari.
No Zeppelin today, sorry.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no Zeppelin today, or Hammer. This is just a very, not short episode, but more of, a shorter episode than normal. Just a little bit of a discussion episode. You might notice from the title and the date, near around the date this is posted. We're recording this the night before Halloween. Mm-hmm. And so we want to talk about something a little scary, a little spooky. So we're going to talk about therapy. Dun, dun, dun. That's what I put in the email. But, we're going to talk about therapy and we can talk about coping mechanisms as well. Not that like coping mechanisms in therapy are scary, but sometimes they're stigmatized in a way to make them a little scary. Mm-hmm. Do we want to like talk a little bit of our experiences with coping mechanisms, therapy, just any sort? Do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
You can go first.
Okay, I'll go first. So let me think. So I started therapy at the beginning of my freshman year here at Lyon. So about a year ago, 1 year theraversary for me. But I started going to therapy here at Lyon College about a year ago. Helped me with general stress, also just some like other external stresses and maybe some large events that were happening. I thought it was pretty beneficial. I mean, my freshman year was pretty stressful. I moved out of state. I'm originally from Texas. I also had a partner in the military who was going through boot camp. That was stressful. And also I was trying to navigate that long distance. I was also separated from my family and my friends from back home, and that's tough. And I had a rough freshman year. I didn't stay with the same major. Mm-hmm. I wasn't enjoying all the things I used to enjoy when I was younger, like some books I didn't enjoy anymore. Just like everything felt different. It was that weird. Mm-hmm. Everything felt wrong and different. Kind of like an Inside Out when Riley's all like, oh, this all feels bad. Everything's going crazy. And then joy and sadness get yeeted out of headquarters. And then she's like, oh gosh, what do I do? I went to therapy just to help cope with that. I use a lot of coping skills like journaling, as well as, it's a muscle relaxing.
Aromatherapy?
No, okay. My therapist is going to kill me because she's been telling me to do this, but it's where you kind of just tense up your muscles and then you relax and then like you breathe out with it. And you're supposed to do it's like full body something. I don't know. Victoria, remind me at another time. But in and out. And it's supposed to like kind of tense up your body and then give you that feeling of relaxation. Mm-hmm. And it's really nice. It's really helpful, especially when you're laying on a like non-carpeted cold floor and you're just doing that. It's so nice. It helps when you're super stressed. I'm not on any sort of psychiatric medication. That was never never an option for me. That was never an option I wanted to take. But I know that that's an option for some people. Mm-hmm. Something we will talk about during this just kind of back and forth is everyone is different in terms of like mental health and mental wellness. It's not like a cold where drinking water, taking a certain med, and bed rest works for most people. Sometimes people cope with anxiety with medication. Some people cope with therapy. Some people cope with journaling. Like it's different for everyone. It's not, you're not going to have the exact same treatment plan as someone else with mental health. Cari, would you like to talk about it now?
Yes, so I have never been to therapy. It was discussed when my parents got divorced that we were going to go to family therapy, but it was never in the plan, really, because it was church-orientated, and none of us were active members of the church. Yeah. So around my sophomore year of high school, whenever COVID started to hit, I was going through a couple of stressful things. My parents were getting divorced. I was quarantined, and I was struggling with an eating disorder. Mm-hmm. So I had a lot of things going on at once, and told my mom like how I was feeling about different things that were going on, and she was like, "That's like not that normal. Like that probably need to go to the doctor." So I went to my pediatrician, and I thought it was just gonna be like, "Here's some exercises that you need to do." Went to the pediatrician, and I was prescribed with antidepressants before I even started therapy. And I was told that this antidepressant was going to be helpful with my OCD and with my anxiety and with my depression. And I'm now a junior in college, and I'm still on that antidepressant. And I would say that it helps. Mm-hmm. It makes you I've been on it so long now, I forget what it's like before.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you, what's the word I'm looking for? Numb, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still very emotional.
Mm-hmm.
My prescription has been upped because medication on its own is not going to help.
Right.
But with the insurance that I have, medication and therapy was not the option together. But now, thankfully, it is.
Yeah.
So I do plan on starting therapy pretty soon, just to transition to there. Because I don't want to be on antidepressants for the rest of my life, because I don't think that's the only way to cope for me personally.
Right.
Because I still have anxiety outbursts, and I still have, OCD tics and things like that.
Yeah.
Just things that I could probably but get more under control with therapy.
Yeah.
The difference between therapy and antidepressants is antidepressant is made to make you this, like, in this little box.
Mm-hmm.
In this little box, you're calm. You don't have any, like, compulsive thoughts or anything like that. And, it doesn't give you any kind of treatment plans. It doesn't give you any kind of coping mechanisms.
Right.
And I feel like that's something that I wish I would have explored more, was coping mechanisms
Mm-hmm.
and different things like that, because I was going through such a stressful time in my life.
Right.
And then it just never became a viable option to not take the medication.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's been my experience. I went the medication route instead of therapy route.
Yeah. I'm not trying to make like any kind of jokes, but whenever you said like it still makes me emotional, you looked over like deadpan and then kept talking, and I was like, I was trying so hard not to laugh because you're talking about something very serious, and it's very like it's good to talk about this, but you looked over at me deadpan. I was like, I was like, oh no, I cannot laugh right now, but that was funny.
Yeah, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when did you notice that you had a problem?
Oh, when I noticed I had a problem, I just like I went out. It was it was after like the second not B or higher grade on my bio exam. And I just sat outside my dorm hall, and then I like walked down by our lake, and I was sitting there, and I was like, I should not feel this way 24/7. I should feel some form of happiness at least 1 hour a day. And I was like, at least while I'm doing soccer, or at least while I'm on the phone with friends, or at least while I'm hanging out with friends, or while I'm planning something for honors, or while I'm looking up med schools, like I should be happy. And I was not. I was miserable the entire time. It was very scary too, because it's a really weird thing to describe as well, because it felt like the pressure of sinking. I know it's like kind of we're going to put this in my lap. That's my brother snapping me. Hi, Seth. It was like the pressure of sinking, but I could still breathe. But it was uncomfortable, and it was very disheartening, and I didn't feel like there was any way that could be helpful, and at least for me. And it was just frustrating because I kept trying to help myself, and like I'd look up like coping mechanisms, I'd journal, and I would just not be able to do it. And it like felt redundant. It felt stupid. I felt like I was not doing it right. I felt like this was I felt very weak at the same time as well. And it was it was just it was a very confusing time for me, because I thought like, oh, this is just growing up.
Yeah.
And that was one of the big things where my roommate of the year, like of my freshman year last year, yeah, she and I were talking, and I told her this. And I was like, but this is just normal growing up things. And I roll over because it's like 2 a.m. and I roll over to look at her, and she's like sitting up like, no, that's not, Hannah. You need to go to therapy. And I was like, no, like it's fine. And like, of course she was like, Hannah, we have free resources on campus. Let's try it out. Let's see how it goes. And quite like, honestly, I think that very well saved my college career. My, hi Carly, my roommate, my freshman roommate, I think that very well, her and like some other friends and some faculty advisors who were concerned also, I think that helped. But ultimately it was me who kind of pulled the trigger on that. Oh, that's a bad, never mind. Oh my gosh, I'm going to say something worse. Oh my gosh, there's no way
Took a leap of faith.
Yeah. Sure. Towards, what'd you say?
Execute.
That's a little bit worse.
Oh gosh. So made the decision to go to therapy.
There you go.
That, oh gosh. That was probably It was a very hard choice. It was very scary. It was very, I had to be very vulnerable, and it was very hard for me to be vulnerable. I had to be like honest about things that I felt was a weakness, which I am not good at.
Yeah.
I like presenting. I like my resume looking very polished and very nice. I don't like people looking at the back of my resume where it has the bad traits about me, don't put your bad traits on your resume, guys. But it has those bad things about me, and I don't like it when people know those about me. Therapy's helped with that. It's just, I knew I needed help when things weren't. When I did not feel happy at all. I knew it wasn't good. And I'm proud of myself. Now that I'm looking back, I'm proud of myself for making those choices. And I'm proud of myself for the person I am now. Not because of therapy, but because of the tools therapy has given me. Because therapy will not fix it. It's what you do with therapy to fix it. And I think that, like, I don't know. I'm just very proud of myself. And
you should be.
Thank you. Thank you, Cari. I needed that. You're great. So, I'm trying to think of a question because you obviously like aren't in therapy yet. I'm very excited that you are going. It's great. Trust me, it's so much fun. I mean, it's 50 minutes of talking about yourself. Who doesn't love that?
I don't love that.
Oh, well, I do. I mean, why do you think I have a podcast? No, I'm kidding. No, I'm joking. Kind of. Let me ask. Okay, so you said that you don't remember, like, you don't remember really what it was like before you were on medication.
Yeah, I know like a couple of like the big things,
right?
The big factors.
Well, yeah,
like
I'm not saying you have like amnesia and like you don't forget your childhood at all, but do you ever wish sometimes that therapy and medication were given to you simultaneously?
Yeah, 100%. And like I noticed that there was a problem when I'd be in a stressful situation and it would just be the end all, you know. Like there was one particular situation where I was, it was high stress, and it had like the lives of little puppies involved in it, and I just shut down because it was raining and they were like flooding in this pen, and like they were trying to swim, and there were people like talking to me, and I just started screaming. I was like, "You just gonna have to get away from me because like this is a high stress situation," and I was just crying and like yelling, and that's not how I wanted people to see me. And I realized that I'm yelling at people that are also trying to help, but I took it just way more personal. Yeah, because I was taking charge of the situation and putting it all on myself, and that's not the way to cope with things. And that's how I noticed that I had a problem where things weren't exactly normal. It'd be one small thing. Well, the puppy thing's a big thing. Yeah, but it'd be a small thing or like a big thing, and that would just tank my world.
And it'd be the same reaction no matter how small or how big.
Yeah, and that was a big example. But like a small example could be I disappointed like a teacher. That would again, John Fork's calling. That would again like tank my world, and I would just like feel like I'm not worth anything now. Because, like, I upset this one person in my life. And I still have a problem with that. And that's why I wish that therapy and medication were both an option for me. Right. But my family had no experience with therapy. Right. My family had experience with medications. And I think that speaks to a couple things. But, yeah, so therapy, like, I was told, like, you know, you can go to therapy and things like that. But I was like, I don't want to find out something deeper about myself, about why I'm acting like this. So I'm just going to suppress it. Yes. And I feel like that was the main thing, is I didn't want to find out why I was acting like that at all. I don't want them to tell me that there's something wrong with me. Yeah. So I might as well just get rid of it. Oh, yeah. Might as well just suppress it.
Yeah. I think that is one of the tougher things about therapy is, like, it's to benefit you and it's to help. But it's also, like, you need to face some things that you don't like about yourself, whether it be things that really are out of your control or things that are in your control that you can change and can be better about. Like the way that you, let me think of an example of me at least, because I'm pretty open and honest about it, which side note, I think that mental health, at least awareness and talking about it, has definitely improved the mental health of at least our generation. I think our generation is going to take a good turn.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the generations before us don't know much about mental health. They do. They know it's there. And like, of course, because we talk about it a lot and we're more open about it, it is a more prevalent thing. But I think that this open conversation, obviously you and I talking about this is like it's very personal and it's very raw and real. And I think it's good to have those conversations because you never know who could be listening in on any conversation you have, no matter if it's on a podcast or if it's on, or like a day-to-day conversation. Someone could overhear and say, I'm feeling that way and I don't feel great and I've been considering possibly ending my life. Maybe I should give this like a shot to make sure that this is like that thing that I'm planning isn't what I want. And that very well could save someone's life. And I think the conversation and the destigmatization, I think I said that right? Yeah. Is what saves lives. Not any like, no, don't do that to yourself kind of thing. It's the talking about it. It is the making it normal. It is the making it relatable and making people not feel alone. That is what makes that is the difference between life or death in situations like that. And I'm very happy that it is as okay to talk about with people. At least in our generation, and the generations before you can talk about it, but at least in our generation, I mean, Gen Z, we have some dark humor, so obviously there's going to be some humor thrown around. My bad. But it also is, humor is a way for us to cope together, and it's a way that unifies our generation. And I think that's so great that we've found a way to cope together and to talk about it together. And it's very refreshing to know that you aren't alone, and you really aren't alone. Like, I know it's like, the corny stuff. You get the t-shirt or the tote bag for Mental Health Week at your high school, and it's like, you're not alone and all this. And like at the end of our card, it's like, you're not alone with the resources. But we truly like aren't alone as a generation. Everybody struggles, especially after this pandemic, but especially with just growing up. We are in our 20s. Like most of Gen Z is like, what's the youngest Gen Z can be? 2009? I'm writing a
novel. That's like,
oh, okay. I'll plug the novel later.
19.
So
2009? No, that'd be like 14.
14? So
what? My little brother was born 2007. And he's 17.
Okay. Well.
He's on the older end then, I think.
Oh. Okay, I was thinking 2009 came before. Anyways, sorry.
No, you're good.
Sorry.
So like 14 to, let's say 25. That is like a prime age for changes, issues going on, exposure to a number of things. Like, we're growing, we're changing, and we're not alone in that. And people are more okay with talking about it. And there's like, there are boundaries, and people are getting better at placing actual boundaries. But we're also understanding that we're human and we are going through the same things. And it is beneficial to talk about it and to have people to talk about it with. Not just bury it down, not just this push through and persevere mentality. Still push through and persevere. That is that is an amazing trait to have. But also understanding when you have reached your limit and you need to talk about this before you do something rash. That is such a great balance that I see out of this generation. And it's such a noble, is noble the right word? I don't know. A noble, honorable, something kind of just a great trait to see out of a generation that we still uphold these same values of determination, hard work, what we want. We go after what we want, but we also take the time to realize you can't go after what you want until you take care of yourself first.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like our parents also have a big thing to do with it because my mom sitting down and having that conversation with me saved my life also. Yeah. Like talking to her about how I felt and her letting me know that I'm not alone. That that's like I have someone to talk to if I want to. That maybe experienced the same things, maybe didn't experience, can like put her own life experience and put herself in my shoes. Yeah. And my Mimi, she also helped save my life. Just being able to talk about those kind of things. Yeah. And being open and honest with me and letting me know that like I'm not alone again. Yeah. And I remember in high school, I was texting this guy. It was nothing serious. And it was during a bad point in my life. And I told him, I can't be in a relationship right now because I don't have the mental capacity to be in a relationship. I can barely take care of myself. Like, how am I going to take care of someone else also? Right. And he showed those texts to people at school, and it was like they were making fun of me.
Oh my God.
And I was in the wrong for being upset about that.
Yeah.
And for being embarrassed. I feel like that was the main thing, is that it was embarrassing
Mm-hmm.
that I was vulnerable and raw with someone, and they used it against me.
Right.
And now I feel like at my age that I'm at, if I were to use that and say that,
Mm-hmm.
I would first of all be met with like kindness, because I surround myself with better people.
Right.
But second of all, I wouldn't really care
Yeah.
if like they tried to expose me or something like that.
Right.
Because everyone experiences that. Not
Yes.
everyone, but people around our age group have experienced that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something else. A lot of people, like, we don't realize it just because we talk about it, but like almost every single person you talk to has had a mental health struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, they blame it on our generation and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just because we're so open with it.
Right.
The people generations before probably had even worse mental struggles, if not the same, because of different, factors.
There were horrible things that happened before. Like, obviously, we have some horrible situations like the pandemic in our generation. But, well, I guess some of us were, some of our generation was technically alive for 9/11. But how old, like, how old is?
Gen Z
2001.
So Gen Z would have started about 97, so they would have only been
4. So it's really hard to remember. But you think about the generation before, say they've got 9/11, and then more generations behind that, there's Vietnam, and then before that, there's World War II. Is that safe to say there's still people around?
Korean War was pretty big.
Korean War.
Iraq was really big for our parents.
For our parents, Iraq and the war on terrorism, like that. And I think because we see how, because of how much research as well has come out, especially on the war on terror. I don't know why I'm looking at you, not the camera. No, camera. Especially with the war on terrorism and 9/11 and stuff like that. Not stuff like that, but horrible tragedies like that. It caused, I feel like that was a huge switch in mental health consideration. There were a lot of studies over memory, of course, and about mass hysteria, but there were also really great research projects over military psychology and over how people perceived large, like, group level trauma and how, like, people felt about a large group they were part of, i.e. the United States of America, being attacked, how that made them feel personally. And people started really taking into consideration about that. Go ahead.
And like the Vietnam War, my grandpa was in it, and he still experiences nightmares and PTSD.
Right.
And things like that. And like a lot of people do not talk about that, because whenever they came back from Vietnam, they were, first of all, men, typically.
Yes.
And they were expected to just jump right into the real world.
Jump back into the real world. Real world. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but Vietnam, it was a very, very controversial topic in the United States, where some people didn't want to go to war and some people did. And some people didn't agree with how it ended or how it, or they did agree with how it ended. I don't know how people really felt. I mean, I do, but I don't know how each individual person felt. It was a very difficult time, and people didn't look favorably on troops when they came back. Am I right?
Yeah. The only thing I'll say is by 74, when the war ended, everybody was happy that it was done.
Yeah.
There was not really any person, like even the president at that point, which would have been Nixon, that was mad that the war was ending. I mean, maybe the generals, but
maybe.
Yeah.
I think every person, troops, people, they were just happy it was done, because you were losing lives for basically nothing at that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even people like that were in the war, like my grandpa will tell you that it never should have happened.
Yeah.
It never should have came to that. And then they drafting the young boys and things like that to go over there and fight a war that they don't even know what they're fighting for.
Exactly.
But that's like an entirely different topic about like veteran affairs and things like that.
Yeah, which is a really great topic. But it's just I think certain moments in history, as tragic as they might have been, I think have been the building blocks for something that we're seeing in our generation, at least in the United States. I haven't looked out in any other countries. I hope I get to do some reading and some research soon. But at least in the United States, I like people like it's like phoenix's rise from ashes. I think the phoenix rising from ashes right now is our mental health. what people would call our crisis is our mental health crisis. And I think what is happening with Gen Z, and all these things that have come before us, that we are either subconsciously or consciously realizing that we need to prioritize mental health, because this is a serious issue. And as, you know, some people may look on this and say, you know, mental health, it's like, you just need to get over it. It's like, sometimes that's just not how it is. Sometimes it's just hard. And sometimes you just need someone to talk to. Humans, as Dr. Daniels told us at the last time she was here, humans are sociable creatures. We lean on each other. We rely on each other. Usually some people are introverts, and that's how they roll. And I mean, they do great with that. Yeah. But humans as a whole are sociable creatures who need support. If that's in our basic biology, that we need support from each other and we desire contact from others, why wouldn't we nurture it through positive mental health, positive talk about mental health, to try and help individual mental health? Yeah. That's just the way it makes sense to me, is why not take the basic human desire of contact and communication like this and use it for good, like talking about mental health, making it not such an awful thing or like a polarizing thing. Just make it such a normal thing to talk about this, so that people don't feel alone. Because, I mean, like Dr. Daniels says, I don't know if you take a class with her before?
Social psych.
Yeah, social psych. The worst thing someone can do to a human being is isolation. Yeah. That is the worst thing you can do. Yep. And if you make them feel isolated, that they can't talk about something, that's one of the worst things you can do to that subject.
Yeah, we, whenever I was in social psych with Dr. Daniels, we actually did a research project over, whenever it was the people in prison, and they would be incarcerated for, like, typically something kind of bad, like, not kind of bad, but pretty bad. Yeah. And the point of prison, in my personal opinion, is rehabilitation, if that is possible. And it can be possible, and it is possible. But some people, you know, just don't want to get better, and that's a deeper conversation. But that is the point of the prison system, and I feel like we've strayed from that a lot. And in this project, we talked about how they would go into these cells for bad behavior, and they would be isolated for, like, days on end. And they would do something again to get back into that cell, and they would be isolated again. And then you would see a decline in their behavior and in their personalities. They came in one kind of person, and they left another kind of person because of that isolation. Even though they are, like, in prison, but they still get time to, like, interact with one another. Yeah. But being in those cells where you're locked in there, your food is brought to you, you're not allowed to leave at all, it made them go mad because they were by themselves, because not even the guards would speak to them. Yeah. Like, the guards were not allowed to speak to them. Right. And we watched another segment where it was like a rehabilitation, and they were giving like counseling, they're giving therapy, they were giving animals, like emotional support pets, which I am an advocate for emotional support pets, obviously. And they saw, like, an increase in these people and things, but funds run out. Right. You know, they're incredibly underfunded, and the funds that they do get goes towards things they probably should not be going towards. So those segments were short-lived. Right. But they did see a huge increase. Like, increase in, you know, positive attitudes and positive, you know, like, rehabilitation. Yeah. And it working. Yeah. Yeah. And that just shows that no matter what situation you're in, no matter who you are,
that contact?
Yeah, like, contact with somebody. Just talking to somebody, talking to a pet. Yeah. Like, having just some kind of social contact just makes you a better person.
Yeah, it does. And it helps. And it's just, I wish that more did seek therapy. I think therapy is great. And I'm glad that we do. And, like, we talk a lot about, like, talking to people back and forth, and that is great. It's good to talk to people you can trust. But I think there's also this conception where I can talk to my friend and then I'm okay. And that's how I felt for a while. I mean, I felt that in high school. It was like, oh, I need to talk to my girlfriends, get a little boost up, and I'm good. But sometimes there's things that you can't get boosted up from your friends. And that's another thing, is about boundaries with your friends in terms of their mental health. You want to help your friends. That is oh my gosh, that is a calling of mine. That is why I want to be a psychologist. I just want everyone to feel good about themselves, especially right now, at least for the month. Hannah's career of the month is a sports psychologist. I want athletes to feel good about themselves. I don't want them to feel they need to be skinnier. I don't want them to feel like they need to be more muscular. I want them to feel they need to be strong, and they need to work hard, and they need to have determination, and they need to love themselves in the sport that they love. That's what I want out of athletes. Or I want whatever they want, as long as it's healthy. Whichever one's more beneficial. I mean, but my heart goes out to people like that, and I want people to be happy, and especially after being exposed to therapy and about getting my own help. It's hard because you see your friends in pain, and you see your friends that need help, and all you can say is give them a hug, help them draft an email to their therapist the next day to schedule a meeting, and hope for the best. And just keep an eye on them, make sure everything's okay, and just know your friend. And it hurts, and it really sucks, and it's just... But it's a boundary you have to set. You cannot take on someone else's burdens as your own. Yeah. As much as you want to, as much as it hurts, you can't take on someone else's burdens as your own.
That's something else I've had to learn. Like, when my best friends would come to me with something vulnerable and real. Yeah. And the therapy friend, as they say. Yes. Therapist friend. And there's only so much you can do and so much you can say. Right. And you have to also think, if I were going through this, could I talk to that person? Would that person give me the same feedback that I'm giving them? Or would they just change the subject entirely? Yeah. And, like, you're not licensed. Like, we're both still in progress of our bachelor's degrees. But it's just, you feel so helpless being in a situation where you're seeing someone that you care for so deeply. And they're being vulnerable and real with you, and all you can do is give them a hug. Yeah. That is the worst feeling ever. It's like, I love that you felt comfortable enough to tell me about this. Yes. And that you could be vulnerable with me. Yeah. But I can't do anything.
Yeah, but here's a hug.
Yeah, here's a hug. Please.
And please take care of yourself. And let their RA know, or make sure that they tell their significant other or their parents, and then just hope.
Yeah, and it's even worse if they're in a situation where you're the only person they can tell. Yeah. Like with sexuality and with different things like that. It is awful whenever you're the only person, like, they can only tell you. Right. Because, and you can't say, oh, go talk to your parents. No. Because they don't understand. Because they will not sympathize and empathize with you. Right, right. So, yeah, I mean, in that situation also, it was like, I want you to be your best version of yourself possible. And I want you to be happy. And you being happy is the main priority. Yeah. But all I can do is give you a hug. Yeah. Yeah, and it sucks.
It hurts a lot. And it, like, I think once I talked about it to my friend, a different friend. Not the friend that needed help, obviously. But I talked... No, wait, it wasn't my boyfriend. I don't know. It was somebody. But I just said about how... So I'm a mentor for some of the freshmen here on campus. And sometimes when I see them struggle and I see their pains and I see mine in them, it hurts so bad because I want to fix everything for them. I want to wave a magic wand and make it all go away. I want them to know what they want to do with their lives. I want them to not have boy-girl issues. I want them to be happy. I want them to go out on weekends and enjoy themselves and not be stressed. I just want them to be happy, and it breaks my heart whenever they're unhappy, and all I can do is say, this is just a normal course of life. There's resources. I'm here for you if you need to talk, but also, I'm not a therapist, and I can't help you in the way I want to. And I just give them a hug, and I hope and pray, and I see them walking down the halls, and I make sure I keep an eye and make sure I know where they are. And I have to move on, and it hurts. It's a good skill to learn, though, as a psychologist, therapist, some form of... like mental health professional. It's a good skill to learn. It's a hard skill to learn, but it's so valuable, and I'm glad I'm learning it earlier. It's difficult, but I'm glad I'm learning it earlier. Yeah. And it's just, God, that makes me so sad. It hurts my heart so bad because I just want to stick out my hand and make everything better, and I want to walk them into therapy, and I want to, take the notes and make sure that everything's okay and make sure that they have this whole plan ahead of them and that they follow it and that they are comfortable and that they're happy and they have an advocate for them. But they have to do that themselves. Yeah. Dude, that's so, yeah. That's the main thing is that they need to advocate for themselves. You can't be that advocate.
And just, it, like, sucks whenever all you can tell somebody is, like, this will pass. Yeah. Because being in that situation, like, your first heartbreak, being in that situation and having someone tell you this will pass. This is only like a small part of your life. You're like, but I'm like in it. I'm in the present right now. Yeah. Like I want to look towards the future. Oh yeah. But I'm currently in this situation and I'm heartbroken. Yes. And it sucks like telling them like this is just a normal part of life. And it will pass. And one day you'll look back on it and you'll realize you learned a valuable lesson. Yeah. But until then, it's gonna hurt for a long time. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I've started giving this example because I found myself slowly not liking the "it will pass" thing. Yeah. Because I feel, and this might be my my corny Gen Z coming out and psychology coming out, but I feel it ignores the feelings in the moment, and I think that is. If you watched Inside Out too, sorry, I love the Inside Out movies. That was the whole premise of the movie. You can't ignore feelings. You can't ignore them in the moment. You can't be anxious thinking about the future and trying to aim for that. You have to face the feelings now. It's scary. It's hard. Obviously, if I talk to someone, I'm like, do you want me to like, you want something that makes me feel better? Do you want to feel like, do you want me to tell you it's going to feel better later or to face the feelings now? And of course, like a gauge whoever it is, you get to know the people who need your help, obviously. And so you know them, but I think it is very valuable and very important to take the step back. Like not to take a step back from what you're feeling now, not try and jump over it and go into the next part of your life. Don't ignore this because this is important to building that next part of life. Yeah. You can't build a house without the foundation. If you do, it's going to sink. Yeah. Wow, that came out a little southern. But I mean, you can't. You have to have the foundation or it's just going to be sitting on dirt. Yeah. That's not I mean, you have to do that. You have to face those feelings and move forward from the feelings, not move forward from the situation.
Yeah, and just being in that kind of situation and just having someone tell you, you know, you'll get over it eventually. It'll pass. And you're just like, okay.
How?
Like, when?
Where?
When is it going to happen?
What is going on? Yeah.
When will that happen? I remember, like, whenever I first got my heart broken, I was like, this is, like, I'm never gonna heal from this. Yeah. I'm never gonna be okay from this. And then a month later I was better. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I was like looking back on that person I was, then I had learned a valuable lesson, but I needed that to happen in order to learn the valuable lesson, in order to be the person I am today. Yeah. 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 And it sucks telling somebody that you're probably gonna get your heart broken before you find the one that you're supposed to be with. Yeah. And that is not something good to tell somebody. No. But it's true.
But it is.
It's true.
It is.
Because that first heartbreak will teach you something. Yeah. It teaches you something that teaches you what you want, teaches you what you don't want. Right. Teaches you red flags to look out for. Yes. All of that.
I read a book. No. What am I talking about? An article. I don't read books anymore. What are we talking about? I've got college to do. I read an article that said something. It was like a therapy article, and it was about how breakups and heartbreaks aren't just in people now. Like it's not just people on people. And one of the examples was changing majors, or quitting a sport, or transferring schools. Like in the ages 18 to 22, it's like described. There's more than just boyfriend, girlfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend breakups. There's the breakup, like I could say my first college breakup was my breakup from pre-med. And like that, if I compare that to my first breakup ever, that probably hurt worse. Yeah. Like probably there were other factors into the bio one as well, but it felt like that. And I think, bless you, wait.
It was a cough.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I didn't need to bless that one. My bad. Unbless. But it's like, I think that's also, I thought that was very comforting as well because it helped because I was like, oh, well, I know I've been through a breakup before. I can get through a breakup like that, and I can get through like other breakups. Yeah. And it helps me, what's the word in statistics when you kind of like make it on even playing, like you like even the statistics so that you can evaluate the data.
Idea. I'm not taking statistics yet.
Oh yeah, you'll love it. You can borrow my textbook if you want it. It was expensive. But it's when you make all the data with the same sample size, like the same number of sample. Dr. Daniels, please don't get mad at me. But it makes it the same number, and it makes it easier to see. And it's in that feeling, in that manner, it made it easier for me to cope with, I did have a breakup from bio, and that was tough. And I had a breakup with soccer, kind of, not really. I still kick the ball around. I'm still hanging on a little bit, you know. But it helped with that. And I think that's another good coping mechanism is the conceptualization. Is that a good word? Making it something you can contextualize and something that makes sense to you. Like some people will make it in baseball terms because they know baseball. Some people make it in video game terms. Like I know some people with their high school post, it's like on to the next level. It's like that's their thing. Like they made that their own and they made it in terms they can understand. I mean, that's a study tactic. Try to understand the topic we're talking about by relating it to your own life. We learned about that in Psych. That was a theory of learning that we were learning about. Don't ask me what it is. I'm still trying to process that one. But it's the idea that we relate things to ourselves. Anything we learn, we relate it to ourselves. And it can be helpful to get through some really stressful situations, I believe. So,
yeah.
You have anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think I do. I think we've covered a lot.
Quickly before we wrap up a little bit, I do want to say that if you are looking for coping mechanisms, it really is inherently up to what works for you. Some people yoga, some people work out. I guess yoga is working. No, yoga is not working out. It's a lot harder than lifting. It's working the mind. I think yoga's harder on me than lifting because I'm over here like, trying to balance. I'm not good at balance.
I'm trying to stay still. I'm shaking the entire time.
Goat yoga's fun. Drawing, art is a great expression. Journaling, I only journal when something serious happens, and I also journal if you've ever seen the TV show Good Luck Charlie, how she does the video diaries, I go, dear children. So it's a thing I want to give to my children to show them your mom got through some really tough times, and she's kind of a badass. But like just something that works for you, and you can talk to a therapist about that. You can talk to your friends, you can take your friends' ideas. I mean, I guess like credit them in the bottom of your coping mechanism. I don't know how your friends feel. But it's always good to find something that gears towards you. Not everyone's going to be the same. Like you might not find some coping mechanisms as good as me. You might like, axe throwing. I don't know. I mean, throw it at the board, not people. That would be like, that's probably the limit. But I mean, people cope. Find your own coping mechanism that does not do harm to you or to anyone else. And, you'll be fine.
I feel like my main coping mechanism is art. And I didn't realize it until last semester, I think. And then I was like, I'm making this my major. Yeah. Because if I can cope and also learn something from it and also get a degree, I'm going to make that my major. And then obviously psychology. Yeah, of course. I just had a really good little brain blast. What if, because I know we've talked, spoiler alert, guys, we've talked about having Dustin Bork on our podcast. So if you're watching, but we talked about doing a color theory and about how art makes us feel. We could do like a little, we can paint while we're here or draw or something while we're talking to Dustin. See what we draw at the end of our conversation. That'd be pretty cool. It is really cool. Yeah, right now we're doing a texture project.
You're in 2D design. Oh yeah, I like that class.
Me too.
I don't remember what my texture was. I'll need to get my oh, I thought you just coughed. I was like, are you good? It was a very quiet cough. What?
I didn't cough.
Oh, I'm hearing stuff, y'all. But no, thank you for sharing all this today. Here, let me.
My hand's sweaty.
Mine too. I was really nervous today, and it's hot. But thank you for sharing this today. This was hard.
Yeah.
But this is
Thank you for sharing.
Yes, we did very good.
We did.
But this is what we want out of this podcast: is this honest and this real. Because we want people to feel good. This looks so corny.
I don't think so.
That was like a little witch cackle. I was like, geez. Okay.
I know my hand's sweaty though.
Yeah, I'm going to let go now.
Sorry.
But no, you're good. Mine is too. And I'm a little, my shoulders are sweaty. But no, thank you for being so open and honest. Thank you for matching my energy with this. It feels good to have someone match your energy with it. So it feels better to talk about.
Yeah.
We hope that this does help one of y'all. If you are struggling with issues, open up to someone about this. Open up to a trusted adult, trusted friend, professional, anyone that you feel would be comfortable enough listening and you trust enough. Open up to them and talk about it. Therapy is a great option. Coping mechanisms are great. And you're not alone, as what the end card will say.
Yeah.
But please reach out and you aren't alone. And yeah, bye guys.
Bye.